I'm sitting in a dark office in Toronto. My agency just hit its highest ever revenue month, 750K. On paper, I've won, but I'm staring at my screen with a pit in my stomach, realizing I'm more of a prisoner now than I was when I had $400 in my pocket. The year I made the most money was also the year I was the most miserable. That part doesn't get talked about. My name is Damiano. I've been building agencies for 12 years. I've built 3, sold 2, and the third does $2 million a month. I've worked with Netflix, HBO, Amazon, Dyson, Electronic Arts, Panasonic, and Shopify, just to name a few. I've scaled agencies from 0 to 8 figures. I've mentored over 700 agency owners, and for a long time, I thought that meant I'd won. But I was miserable, and I didn't understand why. This isn't a flex. This is context. Because what I'm about to tell you, the mistakes I made, the model I broke, the structure I rebuilt, this is the only reason I'm sitting here today. In this video, I'm going to give you the how-to guide. I'm going to show you the behind the scenes of how I broke the operator trap to finally build a business that gives me more freedom, not just a high-paying job. And there's one hidden bottleneck that almost cost me my second exit, and I'll reveal that in a few minutes. If you're an agency owner stuck and you don't know why, this story is for you. Because I've been exactly where you are, and I know why you're stuck. Let me back up. I didn't start an agency because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I started because I wanted control. I grew up in Montreal, moved to Toronto in my early 20s. Political science degree, no tech background, bad student. The usual story. I got a job at an e-commerce company. It was fine. I learned some things, but I was broke. And I realized something pretty quick. Working harder didn't mean getting ahead. So I started taking on side projects. Cold outreach, walking into stores, pitching websites. Most people said no. One guy said yes. I remember walking into this small hardware store in Toronto. Fluorescent lights, dust on the shelves. I had rehearsed this pitch in my head 100 times. I tell him I can build him a website, help him with Google. I'm half expecting him to laugh me out of the store. He looks at me and goes, "Sure, how much?" I say, $5,000 a month. My voice cracks a little bit. He says, "Okay." I walk outside and just stand there thinking, wait, that worked? What I didn't realize was that this one yes would lock me into a pattern that would take me nearly a decade to escape. That first client was a hardware store owner. He needed a website. He needed help with Google. He needed someone who could just figure it out for him. I charged him $5,000 a month. And for the next few years, I did everything. Design, development, SEO, ads, email, content. There were nights I'd be building a site at 2 a.m., wake up at 7, and go pitch another business like I wasn't completely exhausted. I told myself this was what commitment looked like. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. At that time, I thought learning everything myself was the smartest move I could make. I didn't realize this decision would later become my biggest bottleneck. And here's what nobody tells you about those early years. They're not glamorous, they're not fast, but they're where you become dangerously competent. I spent years doing everything myself, and that process of skill stacking, that ability to execute across every function of the business, that's what made everything else possible. But it also created a problem I wouldn't see until much later. By year 3, I was making more from one client than most people were from 10. $5,000 became $10,000, then $20,000, then $50,000. I hired a developer, then a designer, then a project manager. We started adding more clients. Dyson, Panasonic, Electronic Arts, 75 people, offices in Toronto and Montreal. From the outside, people thought I'd made it. Inside the company, everything felt fragile. If I disappeared for a week, things would break. Because early success hit something I didn't see coming. The model was broken. I just didn't know it yet. Here's what was actually happening. We were offering way too many services. Every client wanted something custom. Every project required me to be involved. We were growing, but growth wasn't creating freedom. It was creating chaos. At the time, I was convinced I knew exactly what the problem was, and I was completely wrong. On paper, the agency was working. In reality, it owned me. I was the bottleneck. Every decision, every client call, every hire passed through me. And the more we grew, the worse it got. I remember being on vacation with my partner. I had my laptop open on the beach. My phone was buzzing with Slack fires, and I saw the look on her face. I wasn't present. I hadn't escaped the business. I just changed locations. That was the first moment I thought, what if this never gets better? I thought I needed better systems. I thought I needed better people. I thought I needed to work harder. I was wrong about all of it. Then I got an offer. A publicly traded company wanted to acquire us, and I said yes. I thought the exit would fix everything. It didn't. Selling the agency solved the problem I thought I had. It also created a bigger one that I wasn't prepared for. I stayed on for 6 months as part of the deal, and I hated every second of it. Not because the money was bad. I hated it because I realized something that I never had to confront before. Success doesn't feel like what you think it does. I've spent 7 years building agencies at this point. I'd hit the number, I'd gotten the exit, and I felt nothing. Actually, that's not true. I felt trapped, and I realized I didn't want to be an employee, not even a well-paid one, so I left. After I left, I had a lot of time to think, and I kept coming back to the same question. Why did the first business feel like a prison? I thought it was because I didn't have the right people, or the right systems, or the right clients. For months, I kept replaying decisions in my head. New hires, new systems, new tools. None of it explained why it felt broken. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized the problem wasn't execution. The problem wasn't even structure. I didn't need more leads. I didn't need to work harder. I needed a different agency. And that realization, that shift in thinking, changed everything. So I started over. Starting over sounds clean in hindsight. At the time, it felt reckless. I had a reputation, I had momentum, and I was choosing to walk away. If this failed, I wasn't sure I'd try again. This time, I didn't offer everything. I offered one thing: sales training for SaaS companies. I closed over $25 million in enterprise deals myself. So I thought, why not just teach other people how to do that? And here's what happened. 6 months in, we were doing $180,000 a month. Same model, same 4 departments, just faster because I wasn't guessing anymore. And I realized something. The first business took 7 years because I was learning. The second business took 6 months because I already knew. Same game, higher level. And then I got another offer, a private equity firm. They had seen the quick growth and wanted in. So funny enough, I said yes. But this time, I didn't stay on as an employee. I joined in as an executive. And that's when I saw something that changed how I think about agencies forever. The firm had a portfolio of 10 companies. Each company had its own marketing department, separate teams, separate budgets, separate strategies. I looked at that and thought, this is stupid. We're tripling costs, we're duplicating work, you're fragmenting talent. So I proposed something. What if we consolidated everything into one internal agency? One team, one strategy, one system. They said yes, and that internal agency became the latest agency that I've had. We built it from scratch. Hired the best people, built the system, centralized the strategy. And within 6 months, we cut costs by 40% and increased output by 3x. But here's what I realized. This model didn't just work for a holding company. It worked for anyone. So we opened it up. We started taking external clients, Netflix, HBO, Amazon. And within 2 years, we were doing $2 million a month, 47 people, 3 offices. But here's the thing. I didn't rebuild the same agency. I rebuilt a better one. After my current agency started to really take off, something interesting happened. Agency owners started reaching out. They'd say things like, why am I stuck? Why does growth make it worse? Why do I feel like I'm working harder but making less? And I realized most agencies don't fail from lack of effort. They fail from bad structure. Too many services, too many custom solutions. The founder is the bottleneck, and they think the answer is to work harder. But it's not. The answer is to redesign the model. And that's why I started teaching. The secret bottleneck I mentioned, it wasn't lead gen, it was delivery capacity. Most people scramble to fulfill after they sell. I learned to build the talent bench first. In the last 12 years, I spent $1.5 million on the best coaches and mentors to learn from the best of the best. So you don't have to. I want to be the mentor I never had. So if you're an agency owner stuck, if you're working harder but not getting ahead, if you feel like the business owns you instead of the other way around, I built something for you. It's a free community. No pitch, no upsell. Just frameworks, systems, and the exact playbook I use to go from $400 to $2 million a month. Links below. And if you want to work with me directly, if you're serious about scaling and you want a mentor who's been exactly where you are, there's a link for that too. No pressure, just an option. Because here's the truth. If you're where I was 7 years ago, this will save you years. Let me leave you with this. Agencies don't break because founders aren't smart. They break because the model stops working at at scale. The first version of your agency, the one you're running right now, it got you here, but it won't get you where you want to be. And the hardest part about building an agency isn't learning how to get clients. It's learning how to redesign the model when it stops working. I've done it 3 times. The first time took 7 years. The second time took 6 months. The third time took 2 years to get to $2 million a month. That $400 moment, that taught me to start. That one bad client, that taught me depth. The first exit taught me that alignment matters. The second agency taught me speed. The private equity firm taught me structure. The current agency taught me leverage. And the proudest moment of my life wasn't hitting $8.4 million a year. It wasn't the exits. It was realizing I didn't need to guess anymore. If you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or secretly wondering if this is as good as it gets, I've been there, and I promise you, it's not. You're not broken, the model is, and you can fix it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.